What's up, gang? Dr. Andrew Fix back here for another episode on the code. And I just want to hop on here real quick and talk to you guys about the power of something called NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is one of the major factors of the calories that we burn throughout the day. And I think a lot of times people don't think about it. People don't recognize how impactful and how powerful of a factor this can be in helping you achieve your goals, whatever that might be. Specifically, we're going to talk about on this episode and conversation about as it relates to weight loss and burning calories. So before we dive into that, thank you guys again. Anyone who tuned in to listen to this episode on the code, really appreciate your time. And however you're tuning in, just keep doing that. We absolutely love it. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or ideas for future episodes, please don't hesitate to let me know. And we'll try to get a conversation out about those things. So that being said, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, can account for up to 15 to 30, if not even more percent of the total calories that we burn throughout the day. The amount of calories that we burn throughout the day is pretty much made up of four things. That's called our total daily energy expenditure. And that's going to be our basal metabolic rate, or what we burn just being who we are, right? Like if you were just laying there doing nothing but breathing and surviving, that's called your basal metabolic rate. And that's going to account for the vast majority of the calories that we burn throughout the day, 60 to 70% for most people. And then we've got what's called the thermic effect of food. So that's the amount of energy that our body needs to expend to break down the food that we're eating. And that's going to account for, a bit of a percentage, maybe about 10% or so. I think people believe that exercise accounts for a lot more percent of the daily calories that they burn than what it actually does. Most people that exercise regularly, this is only accounting for like 5 to 10%. Think about how much time in the day you spend exercising compared to what you spend doing other things. It's a much smaller percentage, right? If you're like most people, the what we'll call the average exercising person here in America, you work, you sleep. That takes up 2/3 of your day. You spend time eating, commuting, doing these other things, and you might spend 30 to 90 minutes exercising, 30 to 90 minutes at the gym or going for a run or something like that. It's not actually accounting for that large of a percentage or that large of a portion of the calories that we burn in a day. And then we have the NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories that we burn doing non-planned exercise things, but just other active things, moving around, fidgeting, walking from the car into the office or walking around the grocery store, things that aren't exercise that you're doing intentionally, but things that burn a lot of calories. And this can account for a huge portion. Most of the time, when people are on a weight loss journey, this is the category that you can tap into to really, really up level or ramp up the results that you're seeing. Little things can add up and make a huge difference. That might be standing while working at your desk instead of sitting down in your chair. That might be taking the stairs or parking farther away instead of parking right by the door or taking the elevator when you arrive at your office or when you go somewhere. That might mean at the airport, rather than rolling your suitcase around, picking it up and carrying it for a little bit of time, doing a suitcase carry while you're there traveling. Same thing. That could mean carrying some of your groceries instead of just pushing the cart. For example, right? Maybe you're carrying a gallon of milk. Well, if you walked around the store, I know this may not sound practical, but to get the point across, if you walked around the store holding that eight pound gallon of milk compared to putting it in the cart, that's going to burn a lot more calories, right? And you're not, it's not like planned, structured exercise per se. So this NEAT can really be a game changer when it comes to, is somebody getting enough movement in? How many calories are you actually burning throughout the day? How much are you actually moving and utilizing your joints and your tissues? Setting aside the calorie burning aspect, doing this non-planned exercise, like this non-planned movement that's not planned exercise, can really help just make you feel more limber and more, your joints and tissues are going to be moving more throughout the day. You're going to be promoting more of a blood flow effect throughout the day, throughout your whole body. So I don't know if you're like me. I know if I have time where I'm really stiff, like I'm just sitting around, I'm visiting with other people, I'm traveling, and I'm just spending a lot of time kind of stagnant and stuck, those are periods when I feel more stiff. My body is so used to being in this constant state of movement, this constant state of like, I have my exercise routine, I like to go on walks and whatnot. And when I don't do that, oh my gosh, I get so stiff. So, I just want to encourage you guys to find ways that's not changing your exercise routine, but find other ways to get moving throughout the day to really tap into this power of the thing called neat, because it's pretty neat. So, and I think, some of the very easy things we've already talked about: parking farther away, going for short walks. One of the most powerful and beneficial things you can do anyways for your health is, from a blood sugar standpoint, is if you could structure in to go for a 5 minutes, but 10 would probably be better, 10-minute walk after each of your meals. Oh my gosh, this does such an amazing job at helping to reduce the spike that we could get in our blood sugar, especially depending what we eat. Just going on a short walk after a meal really helps to not delay, but dampen the boost we'd get in our blood sugar. It helps to kick off, like, getting our blood flowing, making us not feel so like kind of weighed down by the food that we just ate. So I would highly recommend that. Parking farther away, carrying things, like, even if you're going for a walk and you want to make that just a little bit more, throw a backpack or a weight vest or something on, carry a very small weight or dumbbell in your hand. I mean, it's not going to stop you obviously from doing the task, going for the walk, but you can imagine if you're holding 5 or 10 pounds, that's going to change the demand. That's going to make it a little bit harder for you to do compared to just going for that walk normally. So there again, adding up the neat non-exercise activity calories that you're burning, and that's what thermogenesis means, right? We're creating heat, we're creating calorie burn within the body, generating generating the energy that we need to do the things that we're doing. That could even be something as small as tapping your foot, fidgeting, getting down on the floor when you're watching a television show or a game or something, a movie, and do some light mobility work or some light stretching, as opposed to sitting on the couch, right? It doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be super powerful. So, however, might be a good way for you to increase the amount of non-planned exercise activity that you're getting throughout the day. This could not be more important with the more and more sedentary lifestyle that many of us are having. We sit for our jobs, we sit for so many things, or you're stuck in traffic or whatever that is. So the more we can get moving, the better off we're all going to be, and we're going to benefit from the power of neat. So I encourage you all to go out there and do that. Thank you so much again for tuning in to listen to this episode of The Code. And if you have any questions, you be sure to let me know, and we'll get some episodes and comments back to you guys. If you made it all the way to the end and you've listened to other episodes, you've probably heard me say this before. If not, you'll hear it now. Reviews would go a really, really long way on this podcast. If you've never left a review, or if this episode speaks to you, I would really encourage you and really appreciate if you leave a review now. So thank you so much again for your time, and we'll catch you on the next episode of The Code. See you later.